You know, I'll never forget the day my entire perspective on life changed forever. It was about 15 years ago. I was at one of the lowest points in my life, struggling to make ends meet, dealing with chronic health issues, and weighed down by negative thoughts that felt inescapable. One morning, in a real dark place, I took a walk to try to clear my head. That's when I saw him, an elderly gentleman moving with purpose down the street. What struck me was the peaceful, unbothered aura that seemed to surround him. Despite his obvious age and the challenges that must have come with it, he walked with a lightness, a serene smile on his face, as if he didn't have a care in the world. In that moment, I felt something shift inside me. I realized that no matter our external circumstances, we all have the ability to cultivate an inner peace that cannot be shaken, a freedom from being constantly bothered by the ups and downs of life. From that day on, I became obsessed with learning how to embody that unflappable state of being. I immersed myself in the wisdom of neuroscience, quantum physics, ancient philosophies, anything that could teach me to master my mind. And you know what? The answers were there all along. We just have to retrain our brains. You see, thanks to neuroplasticity, our brains can literally be rewired through conscious repetition. The more we practice acting as if we are unbothered in the face of challenges, the more we encode that reality into our neurons. It becomes the default setting of our minds. I'm going to share the step-by-step process. I used to rewire my brain from a habitual state of anxiety and being bothered by every little thing to one of unshakable calm and inner peace. It all starts with this fundamental truth. We don't experience reality itself. We experience our thoughts and emotions around reality, which means we have the power to change those thoughts and emotions through conscious practice. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of how to cultivate the unbothered mind you. The first step is to hardwire new neural pathways for your desired new state through morning meditation and visualization. Take 10 to 15 minutes each morning to sit in silence and vividly imagine your unbothered self. See yourself calmly navigating whatever life throws your way with a Zen-like presence. Feel the lightness, the freedom from being ruffled by circumstances. Make this morning visualization a ritual. It's priming your brain for the new reality you wish to create. You're etching the pathways of an unflappable mindset through repetition, which leads perfectly into step 2, with your mind primed from visualization. You're ready to bring that energy into the real world through conscious action. Whenever you face a situation that would normally trigger you to feel bothered, stop yourself and make the choice to act with unbothered calm and confidence instead. It may feel forced at first, like you're play acting, but keep doing it. You're actively interrupting the old neural pathways of reacting from a place of feeling bothered. And you're reinforcing new pathways for responding from your centered, detached, unbothered state with consistent practice. What started as acting becomes your new authentic way of being. But don't beat yourself up if you slip up sometimes. It takes patience to override deep-rooted patterns. Simply renew your intention and keep acting as if. Step 3, embrace challenges as opportunities. One major key to embodying the unbothered mindset. Reframing how you perceive challenges in life. Most of us see difficulties as nuisances. Obstacles are sources of anxiety and irritation. But when you can shift to seeing them as opportunities for growth and practice, everything changes. Stuck in traffic. There's an opportunity to practice being unbothered rather than irritated. Difficult coworker getting under your skin. There's an opportunity to stay centered rather than rattled. Every seemingly negative situation is simply a chance to reinforce your new neural pathways for remaining unflappable. When you can embrace this mindset, life's challenges become your training ground rather than your tormentors. You go from resenting tests of your patients to welcoming them as opportunities to master your craft of being unbothered. It's a true superpower when you can make that shift. No matter how much you've trained your mind, there will always be moments that have the potential to trigger you back into old patterns of being bothered. That's why having an emergency tool in your back pocket is crucial. For me, that tool is the breath. When you feel yourself starting to get ruffled or uncentered despite your best efforts, stop what you're doing and reconnect to your breath. Take a few deep inhales and exhales, following the breath with your full attention. This helps to disengage your mind from the external situation that's triggering you. You're hitting the reset button in that moment with the space created by the breath. You can then consciously choose to react from your unbothered state rather than getting derailed. Make your breath work your anchor in any challenging situation. It's been a game changer for me. Step 5, be endlessly persistent. The final key to mastering the unbothered mind is to make a decision that it's no longer acceptable for you to be bothered by things outside your control, that you're going to persistently, relentlessly install new neural software. For being someone who glides through life's ups and downs with grace, because here's the truth, no matter how much you've evolved, there will always be circumstances that have the potential to trigger you into old reactive patterns. The path of being unbothered is one of eternal practice. Stick with it. Because the rewards are immense. Just think about it. Can you put a price tag on inner peace? On being someone who isn't constantly ruffled or thrown off center by life's inevitable challenges, who moves through the world with unshakable calm and confidence. To me, it's one of the most precious gifts we can give ourselves. So renew your commitment every single day. Wake up and visualize the unbothered reality. Then take it into the world through conscious action and repetition. View every hiccup as an opportunity to get better at your craft. Use your breath to recenter whenever needed. And be stubbornly persistent about etching this mindset into your... Because I promise you, when you learn to act as if truly nothing bothers you, you'll experience a profound inner revolution. You'll reclaim your power from external circumstances. You'll be less rattled, less stressed, less thrown off course, more focused, more present, more alive. Obstacles that used to derail you will barely even register. You'll walk through life as the peaceful eye of the storm, watching all the drama swirl around you while you remain rooted in the deep, unshakable calm. Every aspect of your life will feel lighter, more effortless. Conflict becomes easier to navigate. You'll make better decisions from a state of centeredness, and you'll be free from that endless internal chatter that distracts most people from living fully. So make the commitment today to become the most unbothered person you know. Be relentless in ingraining this mindset through consistent practice of unflappable thoughts and actions. View it as your spiritual calling, your path to embodying the highest version of yourself. Because the person who isn't ruffled or anxious or irritated by every little thing, that person has realized a profound freedom. The freedom to live, create, and contribute from their highest potential. It's my greatest wish for each of you to experience that for yourselves. The path of being truly unbothered requires consistent practice, but the rewards are life-changing. Once you've rewired your brain for this mindset, you'll experience a profound inner peace and freedom. But it goes even deeper than that. You see, being unbothered is about much more than just not getting riled up by daily annoyances. It's about reclaiming your power over how you experience reality itself. Because when you can remain unshaken and unruffled no matter what life throws at you, you remove a core source of human suffering, the tendency to create dramas and negative mental loops around circumstances. Think about how much of our stress, anxiety, and emotional turmoil comes from the stories we tell ourselves about what's happening. We get caught up in resentment over the past, worry over the future, and resistance to what is. Seeing our thoughts and perspectives shape our entire experience of each moment. But what if you could remain unbothered and simply witness life's ups and downs with detached presence? To experience each challenge, triumph, or a mundane event for what it is, minus the mental melodrama. That's the deep freedom that being unbothered unlocks. From the state of inner calm, you open up space for clarity and wisdom to flow through you. You're no longer blinded by the clouds of triggered reactivity that most people mistake for reality. You can respond to situations with prudent care, but not get hijacked by the ego's demand to feel aggravated or victimized. Can you imagine moving through life like that? Perpetually unbothered by surface turbulence, yet deeply engaged and present. It's how the great spiritual masters and thought leaders operated. It's available to all of us if we're willing to do the work. That work is about relentlessly installing new unconscious patterns through conscious repetition, using tools like visualization, conscious action, reframing perspectives, breathwork, and sheer dogged persistence. We have to be willing to act unbothered well before it feels authentic or true. To laugh in the face of irritations until the laughter becomes real. to smile at delays until the smile emanates from a place of genuine joy. Again and again, choosing the unbothered response until it becomes hard-coded into our psyches. People tour, it may sound paradoxical to act opposite of your ingrained patterns in order to change them. But that's precisely how you break throughs and install new neural programming. You have to have the courage and commitment to be the actor before you can embody the role as your authentic self. With time and devotion to the practice, something amazing happens. You experience a repatterning at the core of your psyche. You shift from being someone who is constantly thrown off kilter by life to becoming a master of flow and acceptance. You learn to ride the waves of change rather than trying to resist the natural ebb and flow of existence. From this place of unshakable centeredness within yourself, problems seem to carry less weight. You're less thrown by surprises or detours. You cultivate a resolve to adapt and keep moving forward no matter what arises. Moreover, the unbothered mind teaches you to stop taking things so personally. You recognize that most of what ruffles our feathers has very little to do with us as individuals. Those frustrations and triggers are just part of the collective human experience we all go through. From that perspective, it's easier to not get hooked by dramas or ego bruises that might normally trigger you into reactivity. At the deepest level, being unbothered is about realizing your truest self, the you that exists beyond the ego's insistence on being perturbed by the world. It's a journey into the depths of equanimity and acceptance of what is, which leads to the profound realization that most of the struggles we create are self-inflicted through our perceptions and resistance to reality. Once you've embodied that understanding, you become eminently free from living as a hostage to moods, circumstances, other people's agendas. You cultivate a calm, centered autonomy over your inner experience. Nothing can truly bother you because you no longer allow anything outside yourself to shake your grounded sense of being. It's a skill that the greatest leaders, creators, and change makers throughout history have tapped into. And it's available to you through the simple practices of conscious repetition. Wake up and visualize it, act it, breathe into it. Stumble at times, but persist. Because to learn to be unbothered is to claim the highest potential of your life force. It's a pathway to operating from your highest state of wisdom, creativity, and joy, unfettered by the mental and emotional trivialities that distract most people from their greatness. So keep training your mind, body, and spirit for that sense of serene imperturbability. View every hiccup as an opportunity to get better at embodying it. Over time, you'll go from acting as if you're unbothered to realizing that the unbothered state is the very essence of who you are. And from that place, anything is possible. Stay unbothered. One of the deepest truths about mastering the unbothered mindset is that it's not just a tool for your own inner peace, but a force that can create massive positive change in the world around you. You see, when you've truly embodied a state of being unbothered by life's inevitable challenges and distractions, you start operating from an incredibly powerful place. All the mental and emotional static that derails most people's focus and momentum, it simply doesn't faze you or throw you off course. This allows you to bring a level of grounded presence, clear intention, and consistent effort towards your activities and goals that most find incredibly difficult to sustain. You become impervious to getting easily knocked off track by seeming obstacles or disappointments. Can you imagine pursuing your dreams, creating your art, building your career or business from that state of centered calm and imperturbability, never getting derailed by self-doubt, criticism, setbacks, or emotional turbulence, driving forward with laser focus and determination, unbothered by surface distractions? With that level of unwavering dedication harnessed over time, you'd be virtually unstoppable in manifesting your visions into reality. The world simply has no choice but to be shaped by that kind of grounded, persistent energy and effort. Moreover, to cultivate the unbothered mind is to reclaim your true power as a conscious creator. Because when you're no longer rattled and thrown off center by every swing of circumstances, you get to create from a place of intuitive presence and flow rather than fear-based reactivity. You're free to tap into the brilliant intuitive wisdom within you, unbothered by insecurities, doubts, or old mental viruses trying to keep you small and safe. Your creations, endeavors, and contributions get to arise from a space of inspired truth rather than ego-defensive compulsions. Just imagine the innovative solutions, entrepreneurial ventures, social movements, artistic masterpieces, or life-changing realizations that could birth into this world from the mind of a truly unbothered creator. A mind not bound by the limitations of fear, second-guessing, or addiction to drama. And consider the exponential impact you could have simply by showing up as an example of this unbothered state of being. The ripple effect it could have on those around you when they witness someone navigating life's ups and downs with such grace and imperturbable calm. In a world of hairbriggers and easily offended reactivity, you'd stick out as a vortex of centered, grounded power simply through the energy you emanate. You'd give others permission to be unbothered as well. This is perhaps one of the greatest gifts we can give back to this world. To be a living, walking embodiment of what it looks like to not be constantly ruffled, upset, and thrown off course by the inevitable challenges that arise in every life and endeavor. To masterfully model the mindset of, yeah, that didn't go how I wanted, but I'm not going to let it bother me or shake my foundations. I'll simply adjust and keep moving towards my aims with calm determination. What an inspiring transmission to gift those around you. Of course, radiating that energy into the world first requires doing the diligent inner work to install it as your baseline operating system. The practices of visualization, conscious acting as if, reframing perspectives, breath work, and sheer persistence in recoding your unconscious patterning. There's no doubt it takes real work and patience to hardwire the unbothered mind into your psyche, to shift from being constantly ruffled by circumstances to someone who experiences life's ups and downs with a profound evenness and inner calm. But every ounce of effort you put in pays exponential dividends, not just for your own sense of unshakable centeredness and freedom, but in how it impacts and uplifts everyone your energetic footprint touches. So if you've been challenged on this path of embodying the unbothered state, I encourage you to keep going. Drill it into your neurobiology through daily practice. View every minor frustration or upset as another opportunity to regroove those neural pathways of being calmly unperturbed. Let go of the need for perfection, and be compassionate with yourself when you slip up and get bothered by something that triggers an old pattern. Simply use it as a chance to bring yourself back to center through conscious breath and presence. Over time, being unbothered will go from an aspiration to your natural embodied state. A hard-earned alignment with the deepest truth of who you are, a spirit infinitely vaster than any personal drama that cannot be truly ruffled by the ephemeral play of this physical experience. From that unbothered state, you become a force of grounded genius and creation in this world. A living example of how to roll with life's punches while staying unshakably focused on your highest aims and fullest expression. You get to operate from a place of inspired presence and possibility, unbounded by fear or the need to react defensively. Difficulties become simply inevitable terrain to navigate with resilience rather than sources of suffering and angst. Then most importantly, you become an ambassador of the transcendent truth. That where your sense of okayness and wholeness resides has nothing to do with external conditions lining up perfectly. That we can all choose to be at peace, secure, and unbothered at our core, no matter what storms swirl on the surface. So keep training your mind and spirit, my friends. Build the neural pathways and embodied knowing of what it means to be perpetually unbothered. The world needs more examples of that centeredness and inner freedom amidst the static chaos that so many unconsciously buy into. When you can remain unbothered regardless of circumstances, you become a portal through which profound wisdom, presence, and creative passion can pour forth into this existence. And you reclaim the power to craft a life of meaning, impact, and unshakable inner peace. At the core of embodying the unbothered state is a fundamental shift in how you relate to reality itself. Instead of subconsciously demanding that life be a certain way in order for you to feel okay, you awaken to the liberating truth that you can choose peace and equilibrium regardless of external circumstances. This doesn't mean becoming apathetic or disconnected from a healthy engagement with your aims and the world around you. Quite the opposite. Being unbothered allows you to participate fully while no longer being hostage to craving or aversion. You can take inspired action from a place of centered presence rather than personal agendas hijacked by ego. It's a superpower that unlocks access to your highest creativity, intuitive wisdom, and ability to navigate any situation with graceful responsiveness, because your self-worth and inner okayness is no longer contingent on things going perfectly according. From this freed-up vantage point, you stop creating unnecessary mental and emotional static around life's natural ups and downs. You cultivate an abiding sense of trust in your capacity to flow with whatever arises on your path without the need to resist or wrestle with the unfolding reality before you. This is where true mastery and personal power is found. Not in frantically trying to control an uncontrollable world, but in the calmness to recognize that which you can skillfully influence and the wisdom to surrender to that which you cannot. The unbothered mind lives at this intersection of inspired participation and radical acceptance, of being 100 committed to your highest aims and fullest self-expression, while also being 100 peace with how circumstances are unfolding in any given moment. It's about being relentlessly devoted to your growth, your vision. You're making the biggest positive impact you can in this lifetime, while also recognizing on the deepest level that your enoughness and wholeness is never at stake. Your beingness is complete regardless of any outcomes achieved or dramas encountered on your journey. Can you imagine what it would feel like to operate from that profound inner ease as your baseline? How differently you'd engage with your relationships, work, challenges, or whatever is arising for you right now. How much creative flow and bandwidth for presence could be accessed? From the spaciousness of being unbothered, you're able to meet each new development with uncompounded perspective and discernment on how best to respond. A clear mind unpolluted by knee-jerk reactivity or being mentally hooked by passing distractions. There's a palpable shift in how you experience time itself when you're not constantly getting ruffled by the input streaming in through your psyche, without the emotional charge and mental turbulence triggered by endlessly judging and resisting what is. The present moment seems to become more vivid, expansive, and filled with possibility. This heightened awareness provides a supremely fertile ground for insights, intuitions, and inspired solutions to naturally arise. You're no longer blinded by the clouds of ego fear, agenda, and assumptions coloring your perception. Instead, you can see through to the true essence of each situation with penetrating clarity. And it's from this unbothered state of clear seeing that your actions, conversations, and creative expressions become profoundly impactful. No longer weighed down by compulsive emotional reactivity or personal baggage, your energetic footprint can shine through with transcendent wisdom and authenticity. There's an undeniable coherence, focus, and natural charisma that someone operating from being unbothered emanates, because they're not constantly getting derailed by mental static and the need to defend their ego positioning. They can bring their full presence and care to bear on whatever is in front of them. It's this level of masterful presence that sets apart all the great leaders, creators, and difference makers throughout history. They had access to powers of manifestation, influence, and self-expression by virtue of not being constantly bothered by internal and external distractions that the human ego tends to prioritize. This is one of the core realizations on the path of embodying the unbothered state. That most of our suffering arises from being mentally and emotionally triggered into delusion around what's truly important and real in any given moment. Because when you can be unbothered enough to stay anchored in present moment truth and non-reactivity, you realize that so many of the storms we create for ourselves emotionally are based on thoughts and narratives that are simply not true. Our minds become preoccupied with stories of lack, victimhood, judgments, and personal agendas, hijacking us from the beauty and opportunity inherent in each new moment. To walk the path of being unbothered is to continually dehypnotize yourself from these conditioned trances of the mind, to strip away the emotional charges and projections that keep you bound in delusion about the way things truly are. It's an ongoing practice of radical truth living, of interrupting habitual patterns of reactivity and bringing your awareness back to what is my next most conscious and honoring response to this present moment reality, unburdened by unexamined beliefs or identities. Now, to be clear, this path of being unbothered is not about becoming emotionally numb or trying to repress very real human feelings when they arise. Emotions are perfectly natural meteorological expressions of the psyche and have immense value when we relate to them wisely as energy streams to be felt, experienced, and allowed to move through consciously. No, true unbotheredness is about not subconsciously over-identifying with and buying into the mental stories we habitually attach to those emotional experiences. It's about feeling and presencing whatever arises with acceptance, while no longer being jerked around by compulsive inner narratives of ego and fear driving us into reactivity. This is the ideal harmonization of being a fully present, emotionally available human, while also maintaining the unshakable equilibrium of your depth awareness that all arising phenomena is inherently insubstantial and permanent. Your connection to the infinite ground of peace within that cannot be disturbed by the temporary play of this physical realm. From that profound ground of non-attachment and inner freedom, all aspects of your participation in this life get amplified and enriched. You bring more creative zeal and dynamism to manifesting your visions into reality because you're not hamstrung by fears or assumptions limiting your expression. You generate more resourceful solutions and potent impact with the people and causes you're devoted to because you're responding from a place of clarity and care unconstrained by personal agendas. You experience heightened levels of joyful presence, awe and appreciation for existence itself because you're not constantly mentally checked out and missing the rich pageantry of the eternal now. And you begin radiating a palpable, energetic transmission of unconditional centeredness that elevates and inspires everyone in your sphere to taste the freedom of being unbothered as well. Yes, the path of cultivating the unbothered mind through practices like meditation, conscious breath and presence work, and intentional repatterning of deep neural grooves is one of immense rigor and sustained commitment over time. There's no quick fix or hack to realize this most liberating of human virtues. The ability to respond to life's ups and downs while being anchored in an unshakable core of okayness and equilibrium. But if you're courageous enough to do the work, to persevere through setbacks and be unwavering in your intention to embody this supreme freedom, the reward is everything this human experience has to offer. Unconditional fulfillment, intuitive inspiration, creative genius, professional mastery, deep presence, authentic power. The entire spectrum of what's possible for you as a conscious being will flow in. Once you remove the final obstruction, the delusion that anything outside of you has the power to truly bother or disturb you within. So keep practicing, my friends. Let this be a lifelong devotion to realizing the depth of who and what you truly are amidst all the turbulence, peace itself. Unbothered by forms while embracing all of existence with supreme love and acceptance. Train your mind. Observe your habits of reactivity with humble curiosity and continually interrupt those habitual patterns with intentional choices to be the living embodiment of unbothered. Let this be your greatest offering to the world, to be a walking example of what it means to be anchored in unshakable wisdom and wholeness while fearlessly answering the call of your soul's purposes, until every thought, word, and action arises as a natural emanation of your inherent equilibrium and freedom, unbothered by the play of creation while utterly surrendered to participating in its unfolding majesty. That's the birthright available to you in this lifetime, simply by committing to this core alchemical work, to be so rooted in your eternal ground that nothing external can shake you, so that nothing bothers you except showing up for your highest purpose and potential with every breath. Stay unbothered, fearless ones. The world is revitalized by your sovereign presence.